Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So it's Grand National Day tomorrow. Hopefully we've got some good chances in that. We've got three at the moment. I'm going to add one more on this video. I imagine a lot of you won't even back this one because of who it is, but I can't ignore him. And there's a few others that are interesting as well, but I will go over them briefly or shortly. Start off with this first race. Obviously, John Bond surely wins this. In actual fact, I'm going to offer up £50 cash, not a free bet, a £50 cash sent to your PayPal account. I'll talk about that a little bit later on the video, how you can win that. But it will be to do with this race here, John Bond's race. So keep an eye out for that, or listen out for that. So let's move on to the 3 mile handicap hurdle. I've looked at this a couple of times because I'm unsure on two. There's two horses that I really like in this race. They are Entourage, the one at the top here for John Joe O'Neill and John Joe O'Neill Jr. I thought he was a little bit unlucky when he was sixth in the Potemps final. The only thing I would say, I would have liked him. I'm not totally sure. He was really, really unlucky. I thought he had plenty of room for most of the racing, and maybe he's just going to find one or two unexposed types here too good for him. The one I am going to go for in this race is an unexposed type, and that is West Balboa right at the bottom here. Remember, this is in alphabetical order, not in ratings order. West Balboa. Now, why I like West Balboa is, although she is stepping up to 3 mile for the first time, her effort last time at Kempton came on soft ground, but only 4 finished. Plenty came into the race as well. I mean, Outlaw Peter, who reopposes, came into it, travelled really well, didn't get home. And there was quite a few that fell away and just couldn't get into it. It was a real slog. So I think the trip won't be an issue, because I think that 2 mile 5 at Kempton, you can upgrade that, in distance, in the fact that it was such a hard 2 mile 5. So I don't think the trip is going to be an issue. Harry gets back on board. I think they've waited for this, haven't they? After winning the Lanzarote, they've put her away. They've left her. She didn't run at Cheltenham. Quite a few of these have had hard runs at Cheltenham. Mill Green, Good Time Johnny, Entourage, to name a few, that all went to Cheltenham. Probably had a hard race there. Whereas maybe the freshness of West Balboa could be a big thing for them in this race. As I said, I don't think the trip's going to be an issue. Always been running on soft and heavy. I know it's not soft and heavy, but I think that kind of alleviates the worries over the trip. And I'm hoping for a really big run from West Balboa in this race. Currently 13-2. I think that's about fair. Is very unexposed and could be better than these, and I'm hoping she is a graded horse running in a handicap. Moving on to the third race, I'm going to take a bit of a chance in this one. I'm going to back my own ability, or my own previous thoughts, and I'm going to go for Authorized Speed at a big price. Authorized Speed is currently 14-1. Authorized Speed really caught my eye over hurdles when winning a novice hurdle at Sandown, beating Immortal, who's a horse I do like. The third horse has actually come out and won recently, Godot. Did take a few runs to get off the mark, and was only winning, is only rated 100, which is a bit of a concern. But I think Authorized Speed won that, with plenty in hand that day. Did go off 1-3 and beat Immortal, who I do think is going to be quite good as well. He then disappointed without doubt. He won a 5-4 for the Grade 1 Tolworth. That was a really disappointing run. But the fact that he went a 5-4 suggests that, there was plenty of thoughts that he was a very good horse, and I believed he was as well. And the fact that just 2 runs later, after not bouncing back but getting back on over hurdles over 2 mile at Sandown and winning comfortably, he's now a big price at 12s, 14s. If you went back and ran this race before his Tolworth, he's going to be right down here, in the 4s and 5s mark. He's not going to be this 12s and 14s. If we can forgive him that run, hope that the step up in trip brings out a bit more improvement and he can just jump a bit better. That's kind of what let him down at Sandown, and that was not his race. I think he did come back. Did he come back lame, or he came back with an issue? And if he bounces back from that, then he'll definitely be able to run a better race than the 12s and 14s that he currently is. So I'm going to take a bit of a chance on Authorized Speed to bounce back and actually prove that he is a good horse. He just, it all went wrong in the Tolworth. Moving on to the Liverpool Hurdle. Do you know what? I struggled with this race. I had a look 2 or 3 times at this. I have come up with the horse, I think. And I'm going to go for Flooring Porter. Flooring Porter has been a little bit disappointing this season, only finishing 4th 3 consecutive times, and was beaten in this race last year when second behind Cider Burley. Now, I don't think there's a lot between them again this year, Cider Burley and Flooring Porter, and I think Flooring Porter will appreciate the better going. The soft going maybe wasn't to his liking at Cheltenham, and also the way the race was run, because Dashel Drasher was in the race and just made Flooring Porter go a little bit too fast, too early. And yet he's still not been beaten that far. He was only beaten 3 lengths in the end. I think if they can get to the lead and maybe not go quite as hard, they don't need to go 4 or 5 lengths clear of Dashel Drasher. They can go and sit a length in front of Dashel Drasher. If they can, then he would be the one I think can bounce back here. And yeah, it's a really, really tough race. I mean, Cider Burley could be just that, he'll appreciate the way it's run again with Dashel Drasher and Flooring Porter both in the race. Marie's Rock, she's really going to have to stay here because I think between those two, they are going to set it up as a real test. Home by the Lee, I don't see any reason why that can turn it around. Champ, similarly, I don't see any reason why Champ can reverse the form of Flooring Porter and Cider Burley at Aintree last year. I think it's between Flooring Porter and Cider Burley, and I'm just going to go for Flooring Porter in the hope that they don't go quite as clear of Cider Burley and Dashel Drasher in the run. Flooring Porter's only 8. Cider Burley is now, what is he? Is he 10 or 11? He's an 11-year-old, and I just wonder whether his long season as well might just catch up with him, whereas Flooring Porter still could be able to reproduce another good effort on the bounce, whereas Cider Burley, is he going to be able to? Because he's been well beaten previously in races before that. He only managed the one good run last season, or really one good run when finishing, when winning at Aintree. He then didn't run particularly well. He hadn't run particularly well at Cheltenham, and he didn't run particularly well at Punchestown either the following time, I don't think. So I'm going to go for Flooring Porter to get his revenge over Cider Burley here. We then move on to the William Hill Handicap Chase, and this is probably the one I'm most keen on throughout the day. Obviously, we've got some good chances in the Grand National, but this is probably the one I'm most keen on for the day, and that is Beauport. So Beauport came to Aintree last year. He was 4th behind Party Business, I Like the Way You're Thinking, and Mill Green over 3 Mile. That came off a mark of 148. He runs here off a mark of 142 over fences. He probably didn't stay the trip in the Kimura. Came into it quite nicely, travelled nicely, and then just dropped away late on under Zach Baker. Jordan Naylor's back on board. Some of his previous form behind the likes of the real whacker, Montmorel, although he was well beaten, that's not bad a form at all, to be honest. And I'm really quite hopeful of a big run here from Beauport. And I was gutted to see the price, to be honest. He was way shorter than I was hoping. He's 7s, and I think that's a fair price. I was hoping that people might see that 9 and put him out at 10s, 11s, 12 sort of price, but they haven't. I think this is a race that he can certainly run a really big race in here. And yeah, he's my one for the William Hill Handicap Chase. I was looking at Sam Brown. I thought his effort last year was actually a really good effort, but he does go in the Grand National, unfortunately. Well, Obviously, Connections have got a Grand National runner, so I'm sure they're not disappointed. But I just don't think he's going to be quite good enough. Just back to this race, I think Midnight River, we don't know whether the trip's going to suit. Nasalam, I don't think the trip did suit last time out. Shake 'em Up Harry, I guess, is interesting. Was he third in this race last year, but beaten a long way. No, that wasn't this race. Who was it? Let me just quickly check. Shake 'em Up Harry did run at Aintree last year. He was third behind the Last Day and Dancing on My Own, which, to be fair, is good form. You know, they both come out and run really well yesterday. That came off a mark of 136. He runs tomorrow, he runs tomorrow off a mark of 140, so he's £4 higher when actually being well beaten by two horses. And I just wonder whether there might be something a bit better handicapped in this race against Shake 'em Up Harry, and hopefully that is Beauport, who is now back into a race finally that he could win. I don't think he was ever going to beat Ballygriffin Cottage, personally, and then obviously the Grade 2 Dipper was a really hot race for him, and then didn't stay the Kinmure trip. I think this is ideal for him. If he's going to run well and win a race, this has got to be it, in my opinion. So hopefully Beauport can run a really big race there. Moving on to the Grand National, the three that we've highlighted in the other video, I will very quickly repeat who they were. Correct Rambler, all three of them at bigger prizes as well, which is good. Correct Rambler, I think this was before Cheltenham. I liked his preparation. I think they've been very careful with him, and great to see him win the Ultima. I think he's £10 well in officially. Should go well. Hopefully Derek Fox does pass his fitness test. I think that's really key for him, because then he can ride him exactly like he rode One for Arthur, and he would go very, very close there. The second horse on our list is Lemilos. Very keen on him. Dan Skelton is convinced he wasn't anywhere near fit at Kelso when just getting run down. Before that, he'd won obviously a Coral Gold Cup, formerly the Hennessy. That's always a good race for this. Back and forth that day was Correct Rambler, so a nice form Frank there. They've laid him out for this race, haven't they? And hopefully he can run a really big race. Just needs to jump and get into a good rhythm. And the third horse that I've highlighted is Delta Work, who finished third in this last year. Came there travelling really well. Probably, he ran into two good horses, didn't he? In Noble Yates and Any Second Now. He is, let me just work this out. What is he better off? So he was off 160 and Noble Yates was off 147. So there was £13 between them last year. This year, he is £7, says £20. He's got a £20 pull with Noble Yates, says Delta Work. And what has he got with Any Second Now? He is £8 up. Delta Work is the same. So he's got an £8 pull with Any Second Now. So that, if you like Any Second Now or Noble Yates, you've got to like Delta Work. That was his first time over the fences. He had a really hard race on heavy going against Tiger Roll at Cheltenham before finishing third. I don't think it was as quite hard a race this year against Galvin. It was still a hard race, but it was only on good to soft in places, and I thought he beat Galvin, relatively comfortably in the end, rather than having to work all the way to the finish line against Tiger Roll. If Tiger Roll took on Galvin in the cross country, who would win? I think Tiger Roll would. So, I'm very happy with Delta Works' preparation, his win. He's got the Aintree form. I'd be very disappointed if he doesn't go close if he gets round. I think that's the big thing about a lot of these, is getting round. Other horses you could be interested in. Well, Any Second Now. He's got a massive pull with Noble Yates, and yet ran Noble Yates all the way to the finish last year. Noble Yates, although he's massively higher in the ratings, he is only an 8-year-old. He is still improving, and the way he finished at Cheltenham was a real eye catcher. So yeah, he could run a really big race. Capodanno, I think they've been very careful with Capodanno. This has probably been the plan for a long time. Another one that could be interesting is Galo de Manil, but I wonder whether he's going to be a bit slow. The Big Breakaway, for sure. He's second in a Welsh National. Yeah, it didn't work in the Ultima, but put him back over trip. maybe that's what's going to bring out the best in him. Keep going down, looking. Mr. Incredible, if he gets involved, he might also start. The other one that I am going to have a bet on, though, is a massive price, or he was a massive price. Let's just have a look at what price he is now. Yeah, he is down here at 50 to 1. It's Mr. Coffee. He's a novice. He's still a novice. I'm just hoping that he needs as far can go, and they go nice and fast, and he just keeps running. I mean, probably one of his best runs was when he was second at Uttoxeter. He wasn't as good over 3 mile 5 with Derek O'Connor on board, but Nico de Boinville back on board, and I do think Nico understands him. He only went off 5 to 1 for the Topham last year, and connections believe he needs the trip. So if he needs the trip, and he was supposedly well handicapped that day when he ran off a mark of 141, running here off a mark of 145 shouldn't be a negative. I mean, his second, as I said, Uttoxeter was a good effort. He went off favourite. He went off 11 to 1 for the National Hunt Challenge Cup at Cheltenham. It's all about getting into a good rhythm, jumping nicely, and then I think he could surprise and be there. You know how normally when we turn in to the straight, we've got 6 or 7 around. It wouldn't surprise me if he was one of those. Possibly not going very fast, and maybe he won't pick up, but I can't ignore Mr. Coffee at 50s in this race. So my four for this race, as I've mentioned, are Delta Work, Correc Rambler, Le Milos, and Mr. Coffee. So just very quickly going back to that first race at Aintree. So if you can tell me who wins this race by replying to a tweet that I will put up, tell me who wins this race and retweet that tweet. If you get it right, you'll be in the draw to win £50 cash, and I will send you £50 cash before tomorrow's national, so that you can even use that on a few national bets. I will get that sent to you, by about 2:15. All we've got to do is reply to the tweet, retweet the tweet, and reply to the tweet with the winner of who wins this 145 race, which I've given you one of the easiest races on the card, hopefully, to try and find the winner. So yeah, give it a retweet and let us know who you think is going to win it, and you'll be in the draw for the £50 cash that I will send you via PayPal. Moving on to the final race of the day, back into the proper racing, and that is the bumper. Who do I like in this bumper? There's a few that I've been interested in. I've been quite keen on As Luck Goes. I think he's a very good horse, and I think he keeps beating the right horses. He travels well and quickens away nicely. And I just wonder whether his connections are making him the price he is at 10s and 12s. The horse I am going to go for, though, is Pour la File. Pour la File for Gordon Elliott, and who's riding it? Davy Russell. Davy Russell to possibly end his British career with a bumper winner, maybe. Could be quite interesting. Why do I like Pour la File? Well, Pour la File beat Did I Ask You That last time, and Did I Ask You That was having his first run for Willie Mullins and Patrick Mullins that day in a race that they had won with Facile Vega. So the fact that they ran Facile Vega in it, and if you actually look at that race last year that Facile Vega won, Joyeux Machine was second, Landrake was third, Scottish was fourth, Cool Survivor was sixth, Tenzing was seventh. I mean, there's some good horses there, and I wonder whether that bumper that Pour la File won will end up being a good bumper as well. Now, I know Did I Ask You That has disappointed since being sent off even money. He got beat by a couple of horses, including Farron Glory. Farron Glory then stepped up to a novice hurdle into Grade 2 company straight away. So Gordon Elliott obviously believes a lot in Farron Glory. It was a bit of a messy race that Did I Ask You That got beaten. So I want to forgive that run to then allow Pour la File's run to have been a very good effort. And I just think Pour la File could be overpriced here in the last at 7s. I think she might end up going off favourite personally. So yeah, they're my selections for Saturday. They are obviously John Bonner in the first, but remember to retweet this tweet that I will put in the link underneath this video as well. Retweet the tweet and let us know by replying to the tweet who's going to win this, and you'll be in the draw for £50 if you get it right. I'd be disappointed if you don't get that right. I'm going for Authorized Speed in the Turners over 2.5, hoping that I'm right in my analysis that he is a good horse. He's just not quite had it go right. I'm going for Flooring Porter to reverse form with Cider Burley. Just needs to go a little bit easier early on. I'm going for Beauport, probably the best one of the day. Beauport at 7s in the 3 Mile Chase. I think this is his trip. In the Grand National, I'm adding Mr. Coffee to our already selected Delta Work, Correct Rambler and Lamilos. And then the final bumper, I'm going for Poor Left Field to prove that bumper win, which was won last year by Fasol Vega, was a good bumper again this year. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. And we will probably be back next weekend for more analysis, but I'm sure there'll be handicap analysis and reviews coming over the weekend.